Welcome. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Flecha, and welcome to this. And welcome to, well, this is actually something that we've never done before. This is a non sanctioned wrestling form. That's right, folks. The producers of the show told us that tonight we were not going to have a show due to various means. First off, Michael Bullock is not in the state of Rhode Island. He is actually on assignment for the Special Olympics. He's actually in New Jersey for the entire week, so he is not here. Derek Ferrero will not be on the show as well. As many of you may know, he is covering. He has a lot of commitments from the FIFA World Cup to some other things that's going on in his life. So he will not be on tonight. And actually, I do want to express that he probably will have a video done on Blog Talk Radio. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. However, myself and Anthony Florio decided, you know what? It's Monday night. We always do this. Why don't we give you guys a Monday Night Raw review? That's why it's on Braves Fan 95, the home of Mike Fletcher's Burning the Mikey's Mindset as well, and was also the home of the Rangers Roundup during our Stanley Cup playoff coverage. If you didn't see that, please go on back and review some of our videos that we did. So you already know the routine. Because of the fact that this is a non-sanctioned event, basically there's no time limit on all of our views or thoughts for tonight's show. And I must put this disclaimer out that the views and thoughts that are expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the wrestling form or its affiliates as well. And if there's a pipe bomb going down, I must warn you fine folks that parental guidance and viewer discretion is advised because we are rated TV 14. You could get some language on this episode tonight. I don't think we will, but I just want to put it out there for all you fine folks. Alright, so with that said, let's just dive into the Monday Night Raw. And Anthony, we're going to start it off with a promo segment that was done by the Authority. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon came out, and basically they were basically hyping more than anything else about the Money in the Bank championship match, and of course how they were ripping Daniel Bryan for being a B+ player. So, what did you think about how the show started on Monday Night Raw tonight?
All right, excuse me here. Hello, friends. Anthony Florio here with you for this non-sanctioned edition of the Wrestling Forum. Before we get into it, I just wanna take a moment and admit that this whole thing was my idea. To be honest with you, for one reason and one reason only. That reason being, we want to make sure that you find fans out there get your money's worth. That's exactly why we did this. That's why we're doing this tonight. I mean, I didn't mind there not being a Wrestling Forum show, but I mean, because Derek Ferrer has his World Cup commitment, because we all know how he is about that, and you as well, Fletch. I mean, I know you and Derek are the two biggest World Cup nuts that I know, especially after a certain result this afternoon or earlier this evening around twilight time or so. And of course, our other colleague, our other partner in crime, Michael Bullock, was with one of the greatest assignments you can ever have, being a part of the Special Olympics USA Games up in New Jersey. I've actually had some talks with him about that, and as soon as we have like whenever our next Strictly Sports show is, he's already promised me that he's going to share his experience because it's part of a quote unquote Strictly Sports exclusive. So stay tuned for that whenever our next show is. But anyways, this whole thing was my idea. I talked to Fletch about it, and they're like, you know what? We don't have work commitments. Fletch has no work commitments for tomorrow. I don't either, obviously. So I figured, why not do a show? Well, this is not a Wrestling Forum show. We're just gonna do a raw review. We're not gonna do any like shout outs or anything. Or then again, maybe we will. I don't know. But for right now, I just wanted to make sure that you wonderful fans out there, the Dee Dee Woodsons, the Matt Wards, the Jason Nixon Laws, and all our other super fans like Daniel Luttrell and the rest of them, we wanted to make sure you got your money's worth here tonight. So that's why I wanted to do this tonight, even if it's only the two dudes with attitudes here. So with that said, let's yeah, that's right, throw it up indeed. But all right, now on to the serious business at hand. This is how Raw always opens. I mean, it seems like we always open with a promo segment involving Triple H and or Stephanie McMahon. We got the two of them together. Uh, the greatest power couple of all time. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Solid as always. They addressed the entire roster. Um, I think it was pretty much the men's roster. The only female I remember seeing out there was Lana, from what I know, with her because of her affiliation with Rusev, and we'll have more on them later. But they just basically ran down the agenda for the show, which is pretty much how they always do it every week. So, and Derek Ferrera always preaches about how Raw should open with a match instead of elongated promo segment. I'm with him on that. So that's all I can say about it. But I had no problem with this. This was fine. I mean, they mentioned Daniel Bryan. Of course, that riled up the crowd in Cleveland. But then again, anytime the name Daniel Bryan is mentioned, that's going to rile the crowd up no matter where you are. Whether you're in a big city like Cleveland, Ohio, or a small town like right here in our neck of the woods, East Providence, Rhode Island. Of course, we got the big house show coming up on Friday night, which unfortunately, most likely he won't be a part of unless a miracle goes down. But anyways, solid segment here. This was I probably would have to probably call this, maybe by default the segment of the night because pretty much everything else was like wrestling action. So, because this was a wrestling match heavy loaded edition of Monday Night Raw tonight. So, solid segment to start. They made those two big announcements. They said that they were going to have a battle royal match, a battle royale, to determine a qualifier for the Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And they said that, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns cannot be in it because they didn't adapt. So they're gone. But as the great Lee Corso would always like to say, not so fast, my friends. Wait until you see what happens with that. And then they also announced that John Cena wouldn't be in the Battle Royal because they wanted him to go up against Kane in a stretcher match. We'll have some more on that later on. So basically setting up the show as always, the agenda. So solid, and by default, the segment of the night because this was pretty much only the only promo segment that I recall. So no problem with it whatsoever. Although I do want to say, for the love of Pete, sometime in the future, start Raw off with a match and not a elongated promo segment. I don't care who it is, whether we like him or not. So enough said, Flex. Let's move on to you. Your thoughts on that?
All right, and I'm just gonna say this. I do agree. I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was a good way to start Monday Night Raw. Whenever you get Triple H and Stephanie McMahon together in the ring, it's basically money on the mic, and we already know that how significant they are in the WWE, what they bring to the table each and every week, and they are two of the monster heels of WWE. With this authority figures and whatnot, and how a lot of people don't like them at all. But at the end of the day, I thought it was solid. I liked how they did, but I liked how they try to single people out. And they were adapt. How they singled out Roman Reigns, singled out Dean Ambrose, and singled out John Cena because of the fact that they're not adapting with the authority and they're not quote unquote best for business. Well, guess what? At the end of the night, I don't think the authority is going to be too thrilled with the events that went down, especially here tonight. But we'll get into that much later in the night because we got a lot to cover in not so much time. But I will say this: I thought it was very good. I liked how they set it up, at least the premise for the remainder of the night. And then let's just get right into it. And the first thing we had was a one-on-one match, as it was Dolph Ziggler going one-on-one with Seth Rollins. The winner of the bout was Seth Rollins. Actually, Rollins does get the victory, but it was actually because of DQ, because Dean Ambrose decided that he wanted it to get his hands on Seth Rollins. And boy, did he get him and then some. Rollins does run out like a scalded dog, and this was a good fight. It was a solid fight. I liked it. I'll give it about 1.5 to 2 stars is my rating for the match. Basically, after that, Dean Ambrose was demanding Rollins to get back into the ring, that he hadn't beaten him up properly, a la Macho Man Randy Savage, WrestleMania's 8 promo, where he didn't properly beat up Ric Flair after winning the WWF Championship. But, the case may be, Triple H did come out, and it led to the next match, but we'll get into that. in about a moment. Anthony, what was your thoughts about about Rollins versus Ziggler?
I think you underscored the match a little bit, if I'm being honest, because I thought the match was better than 1.5 to 2 stars. To be quite honest with you, I'm gonna give this a solid 2.5 because of the cop out finish there. With my guy Dean Ambrose getting involved, but up until Ambrose got involved, the match was very good. I mean, there was some great near falls down the stretch. Crowd was into it. I was into it. Um, and quite frankly, I thought this match was a hell of a lot better than 1.5 to 2 stars. In all honesty, I mean, if Ambrose hadn't interfered and we ended up having a clean finish and a couple more minutes of action, then I would have probably been giving it like 3, maybe 3.25. But because of the cop out finish, though, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. But I thought it was a very solid match to say the very least. And I think what's going to happen now is I think it's going to set up a match for Money in the Bank, a one-on-one match between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And if that's the case, then oh boy, you're looking at a sleeper fight of the night candidate for sure because we all know both of these men can work. So we're looking at a good 3.5 to 4 stars if all goes well. And I know nothing's been made official yet, but for me, there's no question about it in my mind. We're gonna have a Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins fight at Money in the Bank on June 29th at the TD Garden. So 2.5 stars is my rating. It's definitely one of the top matches of the night for sure. So really nothing left to say here except let's just move on.
And then, like I said, there was a little more that happened after that segment, and it was Triple H came up and said, "Well, Ambrose, you want to fight? We definitely can fight. There's no doubt about it. We can do this. But there's one problem. I got some bad news for you." Bad News Barrett shows up, and well, we get ourselves an impromptu. Bad News Barrett, one-on-one with Dean Ambrose, and the winner of the bout with Bad News Barrett via countout. So, Anthony, I give this to you. What did you think about this match?
I'm gonna say between 2.25 to 2.5 stars. I mean, this match was just as good as the Rollins and Ziggler fight was, but you know, another cop out finish. I mean, well, you can't really call it a cop out finish because there was it was a clear count out. I mean, this wasn't one of those intentional count outs where the guy runs like a scalded dog, like Jr. would say. But no, I mean, Seth Rollins came out and distracted Dean Ambrose long enough. For Ambrose to turn his attention to him, and it was long enough for the referee to call for the count out and give the match to the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Bad News, Bad News Barrett, your guy Fletch. So yeah, nice win for. I'm afraid I got some bad news. Yes, Triple H set up the match. I mean, Dean Ambrose wanted Seth Rollins, and Triple H said, "Oh, I'm afraid I got some bad news." And then out comes Barrett, sets up an impromptu fight, and this was a good one. 2.25 to 2.5. I think it's the appropriate rating. And like I said, Money in the Bank, June 29th. You heard it here first. It's going to be Dean Ambrose against Seth Rollins. Book it. And when that goes down, you got to fight of the night candidate for sure. Just saying. But I don't think it's going to be the fight of the night. We already know what the fight of the night's going to become that event. A certain match for a vacated championship, if you know what I mean. So I think you can connect the dots on that. So with that said, 2.25 to 2.5 stars, another one of the top fights of the night, no question about it. So Rollins and Ambrose coming to the pay-per-view, and if that's the case, wow, that's all I can say. Your thoughts, Flash?
Wow, indeed. I think it's going to be a great match. Well, I'm going to have to say this. I kind of disagree with you, Anthony, about the rating. I think you underscored this one because I actually gave it a solid 3 stars. I thought it was amazing in this match, and Ambrose was very good in the ring. You know, yeah, you had Seth Rollins trying to interfere, try to cause a distraction. They actually the count out victory. So I mean, this could have gone even higher if it wasn't for that kind of cap out finish. And like I agree with you about the 2.5 star fight, but because I took a little bit off because I really felt like the ending was pretty bad at the very least, and that's why I rated it as low as I did. But with this one again, solid fight. Could have been even higher. Could have been at least 3.25 stars for me. But because of the bad finish at the end, it takes a little something away out of the. I do agree. I think an Ambrose versus Seth Rollins is definitely in the cards, and if that fight does happen, I do agree. Tonight, coming to Boston, one hell of a match for the people in Beantown to get. But we'll wait and see what happens there. All right. So next up, we did have a special segment where it was the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt cuts a promo before he stepped in the ring against Sheamus, and I will say this: I once again Bray Wyatt is masterful on the mic. No doubt about it. I think it was definitely one of the pure segments of the night for me. And the fans, how they all gravitate towards the Wyatt family and the way that he comes out. He comes out traditional setup as they normally do, but look at how the cameras, or well, they weren't cameras. These were iPads. These were Android phones. These all had, they all had their flashlights up. All had their flashlights on their cell phones and their iPads. All their digital devices were all on when the Wyatt family comes out, and that's becoming more and more and more a trend, as you can tell nowadays in the WWE, especially with the Wyatt family, that when they come out, lighters go up. It's almost similar to a la back in the day when The Undertaker came out, that everybody was using their cigarette lighters to light up and just to pay homage to the greatness and definitely to one of the big guys in WWE. And I mean, for him, this was a truly cool moment to say the very least. But I will say this: as much as I liked the Sheamus and Bray Wyatt fight, because this actually had a Michael Fletcher be a man fight feel to it, I really did not like how the match ended so quickly. We ended up having a bad situation where the Wyatts kind of circled the wagons, and then you had Usos showing up, which oddly enough, but as everybody does know, that we do have a official match now signed for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event, which is the Wyatt family. Uh, Roman and Harper are going to be challenging the Usos for the WWE Tag Team Championship. That fight is going down in Boston at the pay-per-view. Um, I can already tell you right now, I already know a super fan, Bill McConnell. I know if he's watching this or is going to be listening to this, he is probably going to be probably one of the happiest guys out there, because I know for a fact he's probably going to say he's putting his money on the Wyatt family to win the tag team titles. They're probably now the favorites to do that. We'll wait and see what happens then. But as far as tonight's fight between uh, Sheamus and Bray, I gotta give it between 1.5 to 2 stars. I'm sorry, I have to do. Once again, the DQ finish kind of takes away from what could have been a great match. Anthony, it is yours.
Yeah. It was an okay fight. I mean, maybe 2 stars at best. I mean, the match was okay. I mean, it was good while it lasted, but 3 matches, 3 cop out finishes, 2 disqualification finishes, and a count out finish. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, all the matches were, logical and effective. That's pretty much what it was. And, this was a good match, a good, showcase of 2 of the Money in the Bank ladder match participants, which Bray Wyatt and Sheamus are. And yeah, it was a solid match. And then it was all the craziness with the Usos and Harper and Rowan. And I honestly thought like Triple H or somebody was gonna, book an add-on match. We were gonna get that 6-man tag. Well, not so fast. It didn't happen there, but we're gonna get that tomorrow night. For those of you who are fortunate enough to have the WWE Network, which Fletch and myself do, as well as Derek Ferrer and Michael Bullock, tomorrow night main event, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Oh boy, you got yourself a 6-man tag with Sheamus and the Usos against the Wyatt family. Look out! That's gonna be an awesome fight right there. We're looking at a solid 3 stars at the absolute best, but then again, it could go even better than that. But we'll have to wait and see based on body of work. But as far as this fight is concerned, I'm gonna give it 2 stars for the effort. I mean, The crowd really wasn't into it. I mean, I could have sworn, unless my ears were playing tricks on me, I could have sworn I heard some CM Punk chants during that fight. And yeah, the another town, another chant for CM Punk. I mean, let's face it, he's not coming back, my friends. As much as we want him to come back, I mean, the E hasn't been the same without him. I mean, the IWC's two favorite sons are both out. I mean, CM Punk, with his sabbatical, whatever he's doing, Daniel Bryan with the injury. But if one or both of them ever do come back, look out. Pop's going to be the biggest ever. So that's all I can say on that. But yeah, but crowd couldn't really get behind it. I thought the match was good, but it's just that the crowd, I mean, it kind of felt a little sleepy at times, a little slow at times. But down the stretch, there were some good moments. But the craziness with the Usos and Harper and Rowan definitely took away from the match a little bit. But the post match was definitely well done. I mean, the nice spot there where Sheamus, holds the ladder, where both Usos, jump off the ladder and dive onto Harper and Rowan. Wow. That tag team title fight at Money in the Bank is going to be all kinds of awesome. And you heard it here first. We're going to have new champions. I think Harper and Rowan are going to win the belts. And I know that's going to make old man McConnell a very happy man. So, and I know your boy McConnell's going to be very happy about that, because we all know. Fletch and I have had a lot of talks about this, and he's told me that his guy McConnell is definitely, probably when it comes to our circle, the biggest Wyatt family mark there is. And if Harper and Rowan, God forbid, win the tag team titles, that's one thing. But God forbid, imagine if Bray Wyatt does the unthinkable and they strap Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank. Oh my God. I know your boy's going to be very impossible to deal with on the job, no doubt about it. 2 stars for the effort. It was a good match. It was okay, but, the first half was slow, but then the second match, the second part, got better. But, yeah, I do agree with you on that, Fletch. But I think 2 stars is appropriate for the effort. So, with that said, let's move on.
Yes, indeed, and we will move on to the next part here on on our Monday Night Raw recap, we should say, and that was, oh boy, I hate to do this to you, Anthony, but I gotta have to do it. It was Rusev going one on, and it looks like Heath Slater has turned. It looks like they're gonna try to work him as a face character now. Unfortunately, like I know Anthony, one of Anthony's favorites, the ravishing Russian Lana says, Rusev crush, and Rusev did crush him here tonight. Anthony, I give it to you.
There's no question about this. This was the worst fight of the night by a country mile. This was an absolute dud. I mean, a Heath Slater turn. I mean, I thought his mic work was actually good for the first time in a while, but as is customary with any Rusev match, the match was a dud. But Lana, what else is there to say except 5-star beauty, man? You know where I'm coming. The angel in blue, yeah. Now do you know why blue's my favorite color, folks? Now do you know why? That's all there is to say. So, oh boy, but this was a mugging. This was a beat down. I mean, you said it yourself when we talked about this. Slater got like, what, 5 or 10 seconds of offense in, and then that kick, boom, that was it. You could have counted to a million, but he went for the accolade. That was it. So, and we talked about this earlier. You hit me up earlier, and you talked about a possible future program with Rusev for maybe possibly SummerSlam. And if this goes down, oh my goodness, oh wow, SummerSlam could be, the buy rates for SummerSlam could actually definitely take a turn for the better if they do indeed go with this program. But I know if you want to elaborate on it, please do, because you were the one who told me about it. Or if not, we could just save it for another future forum. I don't know. But for right now, absolute dud. This was the worst fight of the night, and the 3-man band is now a 1-man band. Who knows? Maybe now it could be a half-man band. Now that Hornswoggle is probably the only one running around still. Because remember, Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, gone. They got released last week as part of Black Thursday. So yeah. So the 1-man band just got unplugged big time. Absolute dud, worst fight of the night. Alana, 5-star beauty. Angel in blue, enough said. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a dud. I didn't really care too much about it, like you said, but I did like how Heath Slater got the massive pop, trying to get the fans on his side, but then he gets squashed in less than 10 seconds. That doesn't help you at all. And I know you're probably a mid card jobber, in the purgatory as well. We get that. And but the thing is this, he's always been in that interesting dilemma and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And well, we'll just move on from that. The next thing we had was a mixed tag team fight, which was Adam Rose and Summer Rae versus Fandango and the lovely Layla. And the winner of the match was Adam Rose and Summer Rae. And okay, this was more kind of, it was kind of a whole bunch of different situations that we saw. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest of Fandango. I love Layla L. I think my love affair with this beauty, with this British beauty from Miami, Florida, I think it pretty much scopes through, everything. If you know me from the forum, if you know it from Facebook and Twitter, you already know how much I feel about her, per se. Of course, Anthony has his thing for Summer Rae. Always that my Saturday the more beautiful as a summer's day. Like he always like to elaborate. I'll let him elaborate more on that a little bit in a few. And then of course Adam Rose. Now there's a funny thing between that, where I say that I'm definitely a Rosebud. I love Adam Rose. I love the gimmick. I'm big on him. Unfortunately, Anthony Florio has, and I believe Michael Bullock have both decided that they want to be party poopers and be a bunch of lemons, which me and Derek Ferrera can't understand. But again, Florio will elaborate in a minute. But I will say this: I thought it was okay. There was really nothing that would make me jump out of our seat or anything else at the end of the fight. But I will say this: they definitely it has to be something that could should go down between Layla and Summer Rae. There has to be a fight. Sooner or later these two beauties have to get it on. Maybe at Money in the Bank, maybe at Battleground. I don't know how that's gonna come out, but this has to come to a head at a certain point. Now, as for Adam Rose, he was there because there was a special guest on Monday Night Raw tonight. I think you know him from the brand new movie Think Like a Man 2, which actually comes out this weekend, and I'm actually gonna go see it this weekend. Kevin Hart was in the house, and Kevin Hart was like, I don't know about this rosebud thing and all this stuff and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, he actually surfed with the rosebuds and he actually became a rosebud overnight. So whatever the case may be, I thought it was cool. I liked it. Um, I thought it was a pretty cool segment, but like I said, the wrestling, I'm gonna give it an NA. There's really no much of a rating for this fight. Anthony, I give it to you.
I'm sorry, Fletcher. I disagree with you. I gotta say this was another dud. I mean, this was not good at all. I could probably call this the between the second and third worst fight of the night. I could probably no, I'm gonna say it was the second worst fight of the night. I mean, this I mean, it was one of those if you blinked you missed it fights. I mean, I didn't really see anything that stood out to me. I mean, the Layla and Summer thing. I mean, they just pretty much took their moments to the back and they went from a mixed tag to a one-on-one with Adam Rose and Fandango, and Adam Rose pretty much one move later gets the win, and you know, yeah, this match was not good at all. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, there was a little bit of unpredictability here, only because I told you about this. I honestly thought that the Kevin Hart when they brought in Kevin Hart, I honestly thought it was going to be another bad skit with Damian Sandow, honestly, but thankfully that wasn't the case. But I will admit, Adam Rose was my number two choice, to be quite honest with you, and that's exactly what it was. And yeah, this was not good at all. And yeah, it's going to take some time. I mean, I still can't get behind the gimmick. I don't like the gimmick. The gimmick's way out there. It's too corny. It's too campy, if I'm being honest. And I mean, I'm sure he's a good wrestler. I know he's had some good matches. I mean, I heard he actually had a solid match with Camacho on the NXT Takeover on the last NXT special they did, um, which kicked off the event. I heard they had a good solid 5 minute match, which I heard actually got some decent reviews from what I'm hearing, from what I read. So that's probably the only good match I can recall him having. But since he's been up to the main roster, all his matches have not even gone 5 minutes. So so for me, I gotta call this a dud. I mean, I know a lot of you are hoping that someday I'll end up being a rosebud like Michael Fletcher, Derek Ferrera, but and I know if Bullock was here, he'd be right there with me. But I'm sorry. Until I see better from Adam Rose, and and I know he's capable of better. I'm sorry, but I'm still gonna have to be a lemon on this one, and I'm gonna have to be a lemon and proud of it. So for those of you who join me in that position, like I always like to say, don't be a lemon. I mean, don't be a rosebud. Be a lemon. That's all I can say about that. I'm a lemon, and I'm damn proud of it. And yeah, Fletch, I see a little Michaela Maroney face, so really nothing left for me to say here except let's just move on.
Yeah. I'm not impressed. Alright, anyway, let's get the next fight. Well, here was something that was really awesome. It was a battle royale. Basically, gets a guaranteed in the Money in the Bank, the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And when it was all said and done, the winner of the bout and the person who gets the golden ticket into the Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is Shield member Roman Reigns. He wins the bout. Anthony, I give it to you. What did you think about this match?
I thought this was the fight of the night, to be honest with you. I mean, this was a very good battle royal. Lately, these battle royals have been really, really good. I mean, dating back to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania, and then that United States Heavyweight Championship Battle Royal, the night after Extreme Rules, the one where Sheamus won that to win the title, ending Ambrose's 350 plus day run. But this was absolutely amazing. I mean, the outcome was predictable. I'll be honest with you. I mean, the minute you heard he was going to be in the minute that you heard Roman was going to be in the fight, you knew it was. I even said it to you. I said it when we were talking on this on the phone. I said this was a given. I said you're there first. I think he's going to win it. And surprised much? No. But the reason why I'm calling this the fight of the night is because this was absolutely amazing. I mean, the action was so good, pretty much throughout the match, but down the stretch especially was when it really picked up. I mean, as the eliminations were going down. I mean, as it was, dwindling, as the field was dwindling down. I mean, a field that included, God forbid, Bo Dallas. I mean, I can't believe he lasted as long as he did, but he did. And yeah, Bo Dallas. I thought Bo Dallas had a strong showing. I mean, say what you want about the character, but I thought he actually had a decent showing. Biggie, I thought looked pretty good. Let me see what I'm trying to think of. Ryback even had a good showing in there. They had a couple of eliminations, and surprise, surprise, who was the first one to go? Mr. Dud Enhancement Talent himself, Damian Sandow, who was wearing a LeBron James Miami Heat jersey. Yeah, thank God they didn't, have a silly angle with him tonight. I mean, I was honestly expecting him to be the Kevin Hart segment, but thankfully I was wrong about that. But still, very good battle royal. I mean, this is one of the better battle royals I've seen in a long time, and based on the body of work, I have to consider it the fight of the night. And what happened at the end? Ooh, Roman Reigns against Rusev. Think about that. Wow. Whew. But who knows? Could they have possibly planted the seeds for those two? Now it wasn't quite the guy you said that could go up against Rusev Fletch for that possible SummerSlam program, but still, I mean, damn good battle royal. Crowd was red hot into it. I was into it. I was definitely into it, and while the outcome was predictable, the match was damn good. 3.5 to 4 stars. Fight of the night for me. I don't know how you feel about it, Flex, but for me, based on body of work, this was the fight of the night. And if this Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight title couldn't get any more loaded, it just did. And in closing, like our favorite, like our all time one of our all time favorite commentators, good old JR always likes to say, business has just picked up. Your thoughts, Mikey?
Oh yeah, it definitely did pick up, and it was a great match. I thought, yeah, I agree. This is one of the fights of the night. You can even make an argument that it was deep, and yeah, I do like the body of work of Roman Reigns. Rusev was the guy, even though I don't believe that a Reigns versus Rusev would happen unless it's on Battleground or something like that. Because right now the plan is, and I got this confirmed by two people, two members of the 2184 crew, um, that I will say this, that right now the plan is that Rusev is to go one on one with the golden boy of the WWE, John Cena. And that what they're thinking is, or what the logic is that they want to do a US versus Russia type of a clash. Basically, something a la out of Rocky 4. If you ever saw the movie, how it was USSR versus the United States, and how those two kind of clash together. It that's kind of more or less what we're looking at in the storyline, but we don't know how that's going to be tailored or how that's going to come up. But as you can tell, Lana and Rusev are still harping about how Russia's the better country, how Vladimir Putin has become the most superior person in the world, trying to garner that massive heat. Now, there's been some guys out there who's been really trying to defend the United States, from Biggie Langston to Zack Ryder. Now tonight you just saw Heath Slater. It's gonna come to a point where either Rusev or even Lana, with her words, might poke the bear. And when I mean the bear, you're gonna poke John Cena. And the minute you do that, you know Cena's not gonna stand for that, and all bets are off. And you're gonna see possibly Cena versus Rusev at SummerSlam in LA at the Staples Center. That's kind of what the plan is supposed to be, but you know WWE, they'll always like to alter things at the last possible minute. Hell, we thought Taker's streak was going to stay alive. It died at WrestleMania, and that changed in an instant. So who knows what we're going to get? Who knows what we're going to expect? But I will say this: whatever the case may be, will be very interesting to say the very least. All right, so let's move on to the next thing we have, and that was Paige going one on one with Cameron. Um, all right, I will say this because this is my fight. I guess I'm next on the card here. Um, I will say this. It wasn't. It was kind of your typical ho hum diva fight. I'm sorry to say that. I'll say this. Paige is without a doubt one of the freshest, brightest faces we've got in WWE today. Her being the Divas champion is absolutely amazing. Cameron, all right, not the best wrestler in the ring, and no doubt about it. I'm not going to knock that. I think she is green as grass. There's no doubt about it. She needs to get better. She needs to work. She's got, you know, she is kind of more of that total divas rub, and that's why she's getting more of the opportunities than anything else, just per se. I will say this though: if this would have been Paige versus Naomi, though, now we're talking a whole different ball game. I think we'd be talking an even better match, a better satire because of the fact that, with Naomi, who's actually proven to be a damn good wrestler in the ring. Now, I've always had the criticism for her that she goes too fast, that she does tend to fly a little too much off the walls, that she needs to limit herself and pace herself in the ring. I think a Naomi versus Paige fight would actually be a decent, I'll even say, two-star fight. So I would think that would be a more better matchup. But whatever the case may be, I'm sorry to say it is a dud for me. There's really nothing more to add to that. Anthony, it's yours.
I'm gonna be a little more generous and say maybe half a star at best, maybe half to one for the effort because there was some okay action. I mean, it wasn't really anything special, but I will share in your sentiments. I mean, to me, Cameron is the second weakest diva on the diva roster right now. There's only one thing. There's a diva that's actually worse than her. Yes, and it's a certain redhead by the name of Eva Marie. She is the greenest of the green, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you don't believe me? Go back to that Diva tag match in which she was the guest referee. That was as green can be. That's all I can say about that. So, but yeah, I'm glad that Paige won it. I mean, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think maybe they might have just started to plant some seeds perhaps for a Cameron heel turn. And let's face it, I think she would be much better off as a heel. If I'm being quite honest with you, because I think she came off as a bit of, I think she came off as a bit of a heel on the Total Divas show. I mean, she had a lot of run-ins, backstage. I mean, her ego got the best of her. I mean, she's one of those egomaniacal divas. And let me tell you something. That one episode where, she was promoting that single that she did, all that stuff that she did on that show, that to me is like, that's a heel diva for you folks. And I think, quite frankly, if I'm being quite honest with you, I think they should turn. I really do. Naomi, on the other hand, I do agree with you on that, Flex. She's very talented. She's one of the that diva. Let me tell you something about this Divas division right now. The Diva division in NXT is way better than the WWE Diva division today. Hell, I mean, we talked about this several times on our Wrestling Forum shows. The TNA knockouts are even better than the WWE Diva of today. I mean, of the divas on the roster today, how many of them can wrestle? Only a handful. Natalia for one, Naomi for two, Paige. I mean, even though she's a work in progress right now. I mean, we all remember how uber over she was in NXT, but I don't think she hasn't really drawn that kind of uber overreaction on the main roster yet. I mean, we had some comment chat on Facebook about this. So my question is, who's really next for Paige to defend her title against? I mean, remember AJ Lee is still out because he's about to have nuptials or already has had nuptials with Mr. Straight Edge. So I honestly don't know.
And
I mean,
plus, Tamina Snuka is out because if you
that's
follow
right.
her
Yeah.
Twitter, she's out. She's out with a leg or
Indefinite.
foot injury,
Yeah,
so she's out
indefinite.
in debt. She's out in debt.
Yeah, I heard about that, and that's another major blow. Because Tamina's another one of those who can actually wrestle. So, and all these other divas on the roster right now, none of them really can wrestle. I mean, I know the Alicia Fox act has been getting over lately because of her antics. Layla, I mean, one of those few who she's come see come saw. I mean, she's had some good matches. Other times she's been meh, but I mean,
I
tonight was
think
one of
she
those
just needs
meh.
to stray away. If she can find a way to get out of the of this Summer Rae thing, maybe if they give her a legitimate chance. I mean, like we said, she's a multi-time Divas champion. I mean, Natalia, how long have we been begging the WWE to give her an opportunity for the
4 years.
title? I mean, for a while now. So
4 years.
yeah.
Three
So
to 4 years.
I mean, right now, unless they try to set up where she can get either Emma, but as you can tell, Emma's gone from TV now. We don't know what's going on with her. I know she was in Australia promoting for the WWE because I think there's supposed to be something up coming down the pipeline in the next few months where WWE might be going to Australia. That's what I'm hearing, probably at the end of the summer, but until then, we don't know. So,
Oh yeah. But anyways, this fight to me was half to 1 star. I'm being really generous. I'm leaning. I think I'm leaning more towards half a star to be honest with you. But in all, I mean, I could go as far as to give it a dud as well. But it really didn't feel like a dud because I thought there was some, yeah, okay action, just some odd action. But that's really all there is to say about that. But yeah, I mean, Paige needs a legitimate opponent for that Divas Championship. And anybody who thinks Cameron is a legitimate opponent, well, those are the same people who think Eva Marie is just as legitimate as she is. So, because they are, I mean, nothing against them, but it's just that when it comes to the Diva division of today, I mean, I ache and I yearn that someday that Diva division will be just as good as the days when you had legitimate talent, like a Trish Stratus, like a Lita, like a Gail Kim, a Victoria, a Molly Holly, a Mickey James, a Jazz, a Jacqueline. I mean, back then, that you remember back in the Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression era, before the PG era, Fletch. You remember how stacked that Diva division was. Those names I just mentioned. I mean, you could also mention one of your all-time favorites, Melina Perez, or what about the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix? I mean, even a Jillian Hall when she's not, screeching like a cat singing. Point is, I mean, this Diva division, I mean, the last almost decade has been god awful, and they need to really, really come up with something because right now, with the exception of Natalia, Naomi, Paige, if and when she comes back, AJ Lee, Tamina Snuka when she comes back from her injury, other than those divas, who can wrestle? Nobody. They're just models that are eye candy. That's it. So they really need to come up with something to make this division relevant again because this division has not been relevant since Trish left, since Lita left, since Mickey James left, Beth Phoenix, Molly Holly, Victoria, Gail Kim. I could go on and on and on. But that said, half to 1 star, fourth worst fight of the night. Please, WWE, give Paige a legitimate opponent for Money in the Bank if you're planning to have it even title fight. Let's move on.
All right, and we will move on to the next part of the show, which was a tag team match. This was Ryback and Curtis Axel, Ryback against Goldust, and Cody Rhodes decided that he was going to give him a mystery partner. He gave him Stardust. Okay. Well, Goldust and Stardust wins the match. Anthony, it's yours.
This was horrible. This was an absolute dud. This was the third worst fight of the night for me. I thought the mixed tag was worse, and of course the Rusev squash that Heath Slater. But good lord, I mean, well at least it wasn't Damian Sandow in another stupid outfit, right? I mean, I was honestly thinking it was going to be Damian Sandow in a stupid outfit, but thankfully it wasn't. Oh, Cody Rhodes. I mean, good lord, son. I mean, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, here's a young man who just a couple of years ago was the Intercontinental Champion and had a very lengthy run with it, and came within an eyelash of winning the Money in the Bank match last summer for the World Heavyweight Championship. But, I mean, yeah, they won the match. Yeah, that's fine. But the fans, I mean, I know it trended on Twitter. I can get that, but some of the reviews I've read have absolutely, they're like, yeah, okay, but it's a first impression. I mean, I think the gimmick is, I hate to say it, but a little bit corny and out there, but it's Cody Rhodes. I mean, I still believe in this young man. I still believe that someday, some way, he's going to be a star. I really hope so. But this is not the way to go about it. This is why I was hoping for a heel turn. He's much better off as a heel. So that's all there is to it. So the match was terrible. It was Drek from the start. So this was an absolute dud. I mean, third worst fight of the night for me. So Stardust character, I know I got to give it a chance. Maybe I'm willing to give it a chance because it's Cody Rhodes. But for right now, the gimmick, yeah, it's out there. You know how I am about that. Sorry. Let's go.
Yeah, the gimmick is out there. There's really nothing else for me to say. I cannot defend this one bit. I'm just like you guys. I think this is just bad. I'm not a big fan of it at all. I mean, there's some things that you can do. There's some things you can have. There's some things you can handle, and we can live with it, and it is what it is. But when it's something like that, and some kind of story like that, I don't know. I can't find it in my own right mind or my own right heart or whatever you want to say and say, oh, this is perfect, this is that. No, 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 no. There's certain things that you can handle. There's certain things that I can adapt to. This is something that I can't. I'm sorry. I just didn't like the gimmick at all. I thought it was stupid. And we're just going to move right on to the main event, which was John Cena versus Kane in a stretcher match. If John Cena wins, then he is going to be a part of the Money in the Bank championship fight. And lo and behold, Super Cena rules the roost again and wins the bout. And he is now a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match. I will say this: a good fight, a very good, solid TV quality main event. No doubt about it. I got nothing bad to say about the match itself, so I'm just gonna give it a rating. I'm gonna give between 2 to 2.5 stars as my rating for the main event. Anthony, it's yours. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was the second best fight of the night. I'm gonna give it between 3 stars, maybe 3 to 3.25. Leaning more towards three. I mean, it was a good match. I mean, this was very reminiscent of the Elimination Chamber 2012 pay-per-view. You remember when John Cena and Kane had that ambulance match? You remember that? I know some people don't want to remember it because that was a meh fight as well, but this was all right. I mean, there were some shenanigans. Seth Rollins and Randy Orton come out to jump Cena, and you're thinking, oh my God, Kane actually has a chance at this. And then all of a sudden, there comes Dean Ambrose, to even the odds, and there you go. So Kane and Cena finds a way to win yet again. Super Cena. I mean, you knew he was going to be in this fight. I mean, even if Kane was in it, I mean, I still think it would have been a loaded fight. But you want to have the guy who is your golden boy, and you definitely want to have the most star power as you possibly can. And and hey, I mean, it's been I can't remember the last. I mean, it's been almost a year. It's been about 10 months or so since John Cena has been in the title picture. I mean, well, no, it hasn't been that long. It's been a few months. I mean, he really hasn't been in the title picture, since the Royal Rumble when he challenged Randy Orton in that rematch from the TLC bout. But still, I mean, anytime he's out of the title picture for an extended period of time, I mean, that's always a good thing for the Cena haters. But with him in the match, I mean, there's no question about it. You automatically have to consider him the odds-on favorite. Him and Randy Orton are the two odds-on favorites, in my opinion, because Cena's the golden boy, obviously. He hasn't had a run with the title in a while. I mean, he hasn't had a run with the belt since SummerSlam when he lost to Daniel Bryan in that epic match, which I still consider the greatest match, which is now to me the greatest match in the history of SummerSlam. You remember when I said that in our SummerSlam review last summer, but still, I mean, Golden Boy wins. What else is new? So 3 stars for me. I thought it was a solid match. I thought it was a good fight. I mean, there was some nice chaos there. So, but that's what ambulance match. That's what stretcher matches are supposed to be. I mean, was it the greatest stretcher match ever? No. I still think that's the one. The one with Brock Lesnar and the Big Show was the greatest of all time. Although there is another stretcher match that I need to check out, but that was a long, long time ago. That involved the late great Andre the Giant from like 1981. I heard so and I heard that it was a match of the year, so I'm gonna have to really look into that. But anyways, 3 stars for me. No big surprise. Another predictable outcome, but it was a good fight anyway. So really nothing left to say here except let's put the bow on this.
All right, and let's do that. Anthony, you lead it off. What was your overall rating of tonight's Monday Night Raw?
For the first time in quite a while, we actually get a good show. I mean, it was a very strong show, a very strong outing from WWE tonight. I mean, and I told you, and this is another thing I told you earlier, and I know you'll back me up like you always do. I said this to you on the phone earlier. I told you this, what I'm about to say. Ever since WrestleMania season came and went, a lot of these Monday Night Raws have been meh, they've been garbage. I mean, it didn't get any more worse than last week's show. I mean, last week's show, in my honest opinion, far and away was the worst Monday Night Raw of 2014. No question about it, because there were a lot of filler. There was a lot of dart enhancement fights. There was like a good 5 or 6 of those, but that went significantly down because, in my opinion, there was only like 3 dart enhancement fights instead of the usual 6 or 7 that we usually get week in and week out. But yeah, let's break it down. I mean, the Battle Royal was definitely the fight of the night. Cena and Kane's ambulance match was number 2, and then you had some other good solid matches with Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. Throw that in there with Dean Ambrose and Bad News Barrett. Throw in Sheamus and Bray Wyatt, and you had 5 quality matches, a good solid opening segment with the Authority, and then yeah, you had your dart enhancement fights. Of course, Rusev and Heath Slater, worst fight of the night. The mixed tag with Adam Rose and Summer Rae against Fandango and Layla. Of course, another dart enhancement fight with what's his face there. I'll think I'll get it. Oh yeah, the Gold Dust and Stardust against the Ryback. So that was brutal to watch as well. That was over in a minute. And then you also had no, I think I pretty much covered all the bases and but solid match. I mean, solid night. I mean, for the first time in a while, it's definitely gonna get a passing grade from me. So based on this, I'm gonna give this maybe at the absolute best a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8. I mean, but I think I'm leaning more towards 7.5 because I thought this was a very good show tonight. It was one of the better Raws I've seen in quite a while. I can honestly say this has been the best Raw since WrestleMania season ended. I mean, we've been waiting to see a loaded show. We've been waiting to see that quality show to lead into this pay-per-view, to this Money in the Bank event coming up in 13, well, soon to be, well, it's actually now 12 nights away from our neck of the woods of TD Garden, and our own Derek Ferrer will be there for that. So if he's actually going to it. Whereas Michael Bullock will not be, but Michael Bullock won't be joining us. Of course, we'll have all the details for previews and recaps and whatnot for that event in a couple of weeks. But for right now, yes, I mean one of the best Raws we've seen in a while, and quite frankly, they needed it after quite a few weeks of average and mediocre shows. I mean, they needed to deliver a home run. Well, while this wasn't an upper deck home run, I will say this was your basic home run. This was probably deep into the first row. That's all I can say about that. So this was just over the wall. This was a good show tonight. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but it was definitely a very good show. And you got your go home show next week. And of course, if all goes well, for the first time in a very long time, the whole band could be back together. The Fortune Four could be back next week. And God, and damn it to hell, I really hope that's the case. So nothing left to say here except 7.5 out of 10. Solid show tonight. I think 7.5 is the best rating, maybe 8, but I think I'm leaning more towards 7.5. So good show, WWE, and let's keep it up now. You hear? No more average mediocre stuff. So with that said, Fletch, your thoughts?
Yes, indeed, I have to agree with you. I'm going to give it about a 7 out of 10 as well. I thought it was a very solid Monday Night Raw. Yes, it was very wrestling heavy, no doubt about it. I truly believe that this was a very good show. I enjoyed everything that came out of it from the segments, and there was only a couple, from the one at the beginning of the show with the Authority, then of course the Wyatt family cutting their promo, which I thought was pretty awesome as well. And we had a few good fights out here tonight. Um, some that kind of left us more to desire than anything else. But whatever the case may be, it is what it is. 7 out of 10. I'm going to make it short and sweet. That's my rating for tonight. And that will do it for this Monday Night Raw recap. Okay, so here's the breakdown. Unfortunately, there is no Strictly Sports on Friday night. As everybody knows, Derek is still going to be doing some World Cup coverage. Michael Bullock will probably still not be back here yet um, from his trip in New Jersey for the Special Olympics. However, I do know for sure, this do not quote me on this. I'm still trying to get um, So, so we don't have anything as of yet until then. So we'll wait and see what happens. However, I will say this: as of right now, um, we do have something set up. The wrestling forum will return next week. Derek Ferreira has confirmed that. So we do know that a forum is on. Then we'll go from there about the wrestling forum, strictly sports, and everything else. So, with that said, for Anthony Florio, I am Michael Fletcher. We're not going to do the shoutouts. Like I said, this is not a sanctioned event. So until then, we will see you 1 week from tonight when the return of the wrestling forum right here on YouTube.com. So until then, you know the routine, everybody. Hugs and hand pounds. We out. Good night. Peace, Providence, Rhode Island.